Welcome to the American Dream. I'm your host, Tana Goertz. Each week, we make a great American's dream come true. Could it be you? Do you know someone who needs to have their dream come true? If so, tune in to the American Dream. If one person does one thing wrong in the marriage and pisses off somebody else, they're ready to throw their hands up and say, hey, listen, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't want you to fall back into a spiral of depression. And I just felt that it was my calling to help you.
Thank you, Tana, for helping my son's dream come true. That just speaks volumes.
You're a hardworking guy, and you'll do what it takes to succeed. And that's what I saw in you when I gave you the opportunity to bring you into the studio.
Without you, Tana, if you weren't here, all of these things wouldn't have taken place. These beautiful blessings that wouldn't have taken place.
We'll be right back with more. Stick around. Hi, I'm your host, Tana Goertz with the American Dream, and I am so excited to introduce to you all Melissa Young, a lady from Wisconsin who I was able to make her dreams a reality, and I am so excited and humbled to call her a friend. Let's welcome Melissa to the show. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Tana. It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. We are so excited to tell your story.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Well, let's go back to that day in Janesville, Wisconsin, where I did not know of you. But let me ask you, had you heard of me before? Did you know who I was prior to meeting me that day in Wisconsin?
I did. I knew who you were. I was a big fan of the reality show, The App-rentice, and I remembered you. The moment I saw you, I immediately knew, oh my goodness, that's Tana from the third season of The App-rentice. So yes, I knew who you were, but had no idea that you'd actually speak to me. So
and someone had said. And then I had learned that we had some reserved seats for some special people in the audience, or we always had special seating for handicap, also for veterans. And I saw you mingling up near the VIP section, or the special seats is what I like to call them. And I walked up to you and introduced myself to you, and you said you knew me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was immediately taken back by your beauty. But I noticed that you were so frail and you had a hospital bracelet on, and I remember just thinking, wow, I wonder if this woman is sick. I wonder if this woman just got out of the hospital, or I wonder if this woman is just a frail woman. And I asked you, is everything okay? And I remembered you told me, before we even got into introductions, you just said that you were so desperate to get to this rally that you literally ran out of the hospital, more or less. I'll let you say the words. You ran out of the hospital, told your nurse that you needed to be here, and aside from all the doctor's orders, you went to this rally. And trust me, I know how difficult it is for a healthy human being to go to a rally. And what you went through to get there was not a small feat. And when I heard this, my heart just broke for you before you really asked me what you asked me. So tell us, how did you end up at that rally, and what were you feeling, and why couldn't you, physically be there?
Sure. About 2 years before that, I had written a letter to Donald Trump at the time. He wasn't running for president. I had written a thank you letter to him, because I have been fighting incurable illness since my son was born. It was due to a doctor's medical negligence. And while I was really, fighting for my life in the hospital, even when I was receiving my last rites and they couldn't find a pulse, just barely on the tip of my ear was the only heartbeat they could find. I had no voice, no tears. I was so dehydrated. I remember the priest giving me my last rites and him holding my hand And when he let go, the skin from my hand was still in his hand. It came off like a glove. And it was that exact day that I received my last rites that a letter came to the hospital from Donald Trump at the time that said, "To the bravest woman I know." And it was a letter saying to keep fighting. And it was in that moment, I mean, I was fighting so hard to be here for my son. Then I also realized that here was a man who was a real estate mogul at the time, very busy in his life, traveling, and that he took the time to think of me in Wisconsin. And it gave me rocket fuel, like to say, no, I'm not done yet. You know, I'm still a mother, but I'm still a woman too, and I'm still a person that has a life to live. And I remember that was the day I received my last rites, and on the outside of the envelope, it said, "Must be delivered by 8 a.m." And I don't know what put it on his heart to do it that day, but wow. They had given me about less than 48 hours to live. And if you see the photographs, they're pretty horrific. It looks like I'm no longer here. So then fast forward to he announces he's running for president. I can see I'm still fighting for my life. I'm now, you know, I was on home care, then I was back in the hospital, and I'm watching a lot of things come out that people are saying things about him, and, you know, beauty contestants and about race and all of these things. But what they didn't know was that my son, who is Mexican American, he is an American, but my husband is from Mexico, and that Donald Trump at the time, then he had these organizations that were helping fund him to go to college, and during this time, a lot of things were coming out about him, and he could have used me. He could have said, "What about this woman in Wisconsin who's terminally ill, and I'm helping her son, and she happened to be in my Miss USA pageant representing the state of Wisconsin." So it kind of covered all angles. He could have used it because it was coming from both sides, but he didn't, to protect me. And for whatever reason, I mean, I'm laying in the hospital watching this unfold on television, and I hear that he's going to be in Janesville, Wisconsin. Now, for me, that's about a 2.5-hour drive. Well, I'm admitted into the hospital, and so I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? I had written him a letter thanking him, but I was worried that he never received that letter, and I would have never been okay leaving this earth without thanking him and him understanding what that did for me, that breathed life back into me, which ultimately gave me more time with my son. And so I thought, this is my only opportunity. It's my only opportunity. So my doctors and my nurses were saying that I shouldn't leave the hospital, and I checked myself out. So I said, I need to go. And so my son's kindergarten teacher put me in the back of her van and drove me the 2.5 hours. And here I pulled up, and like you said, there are so many people at these rallies, you know, so many supporters out there, and the lines are so long. And I had difficulty standing without passing out. I live on IV fluids every day, so two liters of IV fluids every day. So I'm being poked every day. As we speak right now, I have one going in my foot, and so you don't see it up here. But I knew I had to do it. I unhooked from everything, which was like my hydration, my feeding tube, everything that I had at that time. You're correct about the bracelet I had on. It was a hospital bracelet, but then I also had a DNR, which is a do not resuscitate order, which meant that it was, you know, that if anything happened to me, they weren't allowed to resuscitate me. And so I was really in a bad way when I made the journey to Janesville that day. But when I made it to the front because they could see I was having some difficulties, and then someone realized, wait, that's a former Miss Wisconsin. And they said, we're going to put you, like you said, where there's people with medical needs, handicap, things like that up in the front. So they did that. And I looked over and I saw this beautiful blonde woman holding a microphone. And then I looked again and I thought, that's Tana Goertz, who I had recognized from season, 3 of The App-rentice. And that was like my favorite show of all time. So I was a bit starstruck, to say the least. But I was there with a mission. I was on a mission, and it was just to express my gratitude. That was my greatest wish before God took me home, was to say thank you to Mr. Trump for what he had done for me personally during that time, that really, really hard time. And I looked over at you, like you said, you made your way over to me, and we had this eye contact. I feel like it wasn't a coincidence. It was like a God incidence, because I felt such energy. Like there's, a lot of people in the room. It's very loud. There was some sort of energy that I don't know what it was. I can't express how much I felt like connected to you, but you walked your way to me immediately without words being said. And you came over, and I said, I introduced myself. I knew who you were, of course. And then I said, I'm here because my greatest wish is to thank Mr. Trump for saving my life, really, for giving me more time with my Jack, for showing me kindness and care and compassion during really the hardest time that someone can imagine. I'm in my 30s and having to leave a little boy who's 7 behind, and the stress that brings. But you came to me, and you were so warm. I really never felt anything like it. You were so warm, so kind. I remember I said, I just really want to thank him, knowing that was probably a 1 in a million shot, but I had already made it there. And when you're at the point that I'm at, you have nothing to lose at this point.
Right, you're fearless. Right. What's the harm in asking me? And do you remember what I said to you?
I do. I remember, first of all, I remember that you touched me. And one thing that you didn't know, and you still don't know, but I'm going to share it with you now, if that's okay, is that being in the hospital for so long, I hadn't received human touch besides being hurt, which meaning poked and prodded. But no one had touched my skin physically. And just the days before that I made the way to Janesville, a nurse had come in the middle of the night, and she lifted up the blanket, and she started rubbing my legs, and I didn't know what she was doing. She said, do you know why I'm doing this? And I didn't know why. And she said, Melissa, because you're rocking yourself. Because I was soothing myself because I had received no human touch for over a month besides her. But I remember that you reached your hand out and you were touching me, and I was holding your hand, and you were listening to me. And you said, I want to thank him more than anything. And you said that you didn't think he was taking Q&A that day, which was no questions. And you said, I will make this happen. I will do my best. And I thought, wow, here's a woman who has these specific instructions from a presidential candidate who's saying no Q&A, and she has a microphone, and she is willing to really put her neck out on the line for a woman she's never met. I don't know. You were just so warm. And so when he took the stage, I remember you had the microphone. You were the only one with the microphone besides him. So when he took the stage, he started to speak, and I remember tears were already, starting to roll down my cheeks.
In recent years, I've been struggling with an incurable illness, and I'm on home care now. It was caused by a doctor's medical negligence, and in those dark days, fighting, right now all the tubes have been removed, and I have a do not resuscitate order, and I have a 7-year-old son. And in those days, in the hospital, I received from you a handwritten letter that said, to the bravest woman I know. And
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And you
Such a wonderful, beautiful woman. I mean, just an amazing woman. And are you coming along okay?
No, sir, but that's okay, because I'm here right now to thank you in person, and that was my biggest dream. And I wanted to thank you because through you and your organizations, my son, who is Mexican American, 7 years old, through your organizations and just being able to stand on that stage with you back in 2005, the outpouring of love that came from that ultimately provided my son, when he graduates high school, with a full ride to college. And
that's great. And you know what we'll do? We're going to watch him. You're going to watch him, Tana. Tana, watch him. We're going to be watching your boy, okay? But you're going to hopefully be around. You're not going to have anybody watching. You're going to hopefully be around. Those doctors are going to be so wrong. But we'll be helping you.
So we thank you. God bless you. And just, he's a Mexican American. And you, because of your efforts, have sent him to college. And I've been writing letters to him for when I'm in heaven to tell him that what you've done for him, now he has a great responsibility to pay it forward, just as you have done for us. And I can't thank you.
That's so nice. Thank you, honey. Thank you. I'm sorry. I have to go down and say hello. Is that okay?
Thank you. Here you go, Mr. Trump. Here you go.
Wow, what a great woman that is. That's a great woman, great mother. I remember that, and it's heartbreaking, but it's something beautiful is going to happen. You watch. Something beautiful is going to happen. Folks, I just want to say, I'd almost like to leave it on that because we can't top that. That is so amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
And Donald Trump only trusted me with the microphone. If he decides we're going to Q&A, there I am, and I've already monitored the room to be able to weed out the nut jobs, to be able to weed out the haters, to be able to weed out the people that are going to take 50 minutes to ask, a 30-second question. So he trusts me. And I also know him very well because our instincts are great. We've known each other for so long that he was ready to say, God bless, goodbye, Wisconsin. And right. I felt that your dream was slipping away from me. So that's when I came in for the kill with, wait, one more question. Melissa's got something to say to you. And you're 100% right. I interrupted him. I went for it because I did not want to let you down, and your dream was slipping away very quickly. But I love the way you describe how I interrupted him and how it was just like, who does that?
That was the thing. So you did not know me. You did not know. I could have been anyone that was about to say anything, but there was something that you felt with me, that you trusted. I don't know, but you have this amazing ability to, I don't know what it is, but you can zero in on when someone needs you. And there's more times that I have to speak about when you've been there for me later on, but after that, but you had, I don't know, it was like you were in this mission, and I could see when I would glance over at you while he's speaking to this large crowd, which is very loud, I could see that you had this like laser-like focus, like for that moment to slip it in, and that you were going to do it for me, a woman you've never met, that you spoke with for just a few moments, and that you were going to take a chance on me. And it was...
I looked at you, Melissa, like I look at a lot of people whose dreams I make a reality. You're worth it. You fought enough. You had a purpose. You wanted to thank him. And you knew that most people walking the face of the earth aren't going to go out of their way to make someone else either look good or make someone else feel good. And so I highly doubt that your letter ever got to him. Your letter of thanks probably never got past the doorman, probably never got to his desk, because somebody saw it and thought, well, what the hell? I don't care about her. I don't know her. And it doesn't matter. He gets thanked every day of his life. So I knew that he didn't know you or know the story that you wanted to thank him. And I looked at it like God was looking at me saying, this is your test. Are you going to pass the test, Tana, or are you going to fail? This woman has a mission, and you're the only one that can make it happen. And so without a doubt, you were worth every risk. You were worth the risk of losing my job. You were worth risking it all, because I wanted to pass the test that, that was above. I mean, this is the earth. I wanted to pass the test in heaven, that I did my job. And my job was to make sure that Donald Trump knew that you were grateful for him, that you cared about him, and that he gave you strength when you were down and out. And I have since admired your strength. And we'll move on to that story in a minute, but I admired your strength at that day. Just a woman who you had a port in your chest. I don't know if you had an IV. It didn't look like you had an IV with you, but you had a port. You were very sickly. You had just, escaped from the hospital. You're here for a reason, and this was not for the faint. So I looked at it like, this woman needs to have this dream happen, and I'm the only one that can make it happen. And by hell or high water, it's happening. And it did.
It did. You did it. You made it happen. And it was the greatest moment of my life when you said, "Excuse me, Mr. Trump." I mean, and then the room, as soon as you said, "Melissa has something to say to you."
And he went, okay, meaning like, I've trusted you all these years, chick, don't blow me up.
His hands were up almost in a defensive mode, like, oh, what's going to happen here? What's she going to say? And then as soon as I said, you handed me the microphone, and I said, "Excuse me, Mr. Trump, I'd like to thank you." And then I explained who I was and what he had done for me. I said, I'm a former Miss Wisconsin who competed in your Miss USA pageant back in 2005. And I've been fighting for my life, and you were there for me. You sent me letters saying, to the bravest woman I know, to keep fighting. And if you watch it, you can see the moment where his arms drop. And the arm just drops. And he says, "I remember."
He was comfortable. He knew he could trust you. He knew he could trust me, and this was going to be okay. And then as he did, giving you the hope to go on and to fight, now I fell in love with you. And as a professional life coach and motivational speaker and encourager of people, I took it upon myself to make it my mission to keep you going, to see the fruits of your labor, getting him, helping him, putting a light on him, and being a female that supported him. I took it upon myself to keep you going as a mother and a wife. I didn't want you to give up, and I wanted you to know you're worth fighting for every day. So then I would dangle a carrot in front of you. Do you remember some of the carrots that I dangled in front of you if you'd hang on and live?
Yes, I'll never forget what you did for me. I remember that day when Donald Trump said to you, "We'll be watching your boy." And then he looked over and he said, "Tana, watch her boy." And it was like the best gift you could ever give someone. Most of all, a mother, is the sense of peace. I mean, there is no greater gift than the sense of peace. What was given to me that day from you was that saying, "We've got you." And that
we've got your boy. We'll take care of Jack.
And that was it. There is no greater gift. There is no greater gift. Here I had done all these shows, none of them political, a personal story about a man who was there for me and gave me a sense, of peace, knowing that my son would be okay. And so I'm just doing these shows, talking about the story, talking about the public thank you, thanks to Tana giving me the microphone and being so brave that day. But then election night came. It was the day before election night, and I I thought, I have to be in New York City. I just wanted to be in the same city because I thought, this great person has to become president, but no matter what, I need to be in the same city. So I left a note for my nurses that said, until my last breath, which referred to a statement I had made on Fox News saying, until my last breath, I will speak up about who this man is. He's the most wonderful man I've ever met. So I left a note that said, until my last breath. And you're right, I had a tube coming out of my chest. Really, it was out of my carotid artery. And it was the last place they could find because everything else has been riddled in scar tissue. And so I went to New York, got on a plane, and I called Tana. It's the night before election night. And I said, I'm in a hotel room by myself. And I had my IV bag with me, which I had in a backpack and a 15-pound pump, carrying it on my back. And I'm in that hotel room, and I said, I just want to be in the same city, Tana. And she kept giving me these little things that kept me going. She'd say, well, you have to be here for this, and you have to see this happen, and you have to see this come true. And she kept giving me these, I have the motivation from being a mother and to my son and all of those things. But as a woman, as a human being, that there was even, that there was purpose for me in other ways of just being a mom, that it wasn't time for me to go yet, that I needed to see this unfold. And so I'm in this hotel room in New York City. It's late at night. I called Tana and I said, I'm in New York City. And she's in Iowa doing what she needs to do and working like crazy, like she always does. I'm sure touching many people's lives, like always. I said, I'm in this hotel room in New York City. I just want to be in the same city when this happens tomorrow. And she said, Melissa, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to let you, I can't even think about it. She said, I'm going to let you have my ticket to Trump headquarters, and you're going to take my place, and you're going to stand there on election night in place of me, and I'll stay here in Iowa and watch it unfold from here.
Oh, that was so cool.
I still can't believe it. I still can't believe it
was
because
unbelievable.
So the next day, I taped all of my tubes and everything underneath a long white coat, and I made my way in a cab to Trump headquarters in New York City. And there I was with the ticket you gave me, and standing next to Judge Jeanine Pirro and all of these amazing people that you see on television every day. And I'm standing there, and it should have been impossible for me to stand. I had no feeding tube. But I had all of that strength that you had given me on the journey. And I was standing not only there for you, I was standing there for my son Jack, and for Mr. Trump at the time. To really that moment represented was that if you, whatever it takes, like this is a lesson for my son too, and that you helped me fulfill this and give him a lifelong lesson that's priceless, is that if there's something you believe in, no matter what it takes, that if you have to do the army crawl, you make sure you show up and that you give credit where credit is due, that you make sure you express the gratitude that's in your heart. Don't ever leave this earth without letting somebody know what they did for you, what it meant. But Tana, that was what I needed to do for Mr. Trump, because that was a personal thing. But then what you did for me was so great and so grand. I don't think there's words to express. As a girl, I grew up homeless, living in a tent at times, washing up in public restrooms before school. I shared a pair of shoes, with my little brother. And here I was standing there, which medically should have been possible. Nothing but the angels themselves were keeping me standing upright. But I held a sign that said, Women for Trump. And I stood there in that room on election night. And if you watch the footage of the moment that he that he's announced the president, it's my face holding that sign, and it looks like I'm levitating above the.
You had superhuman powers that day.
And he called me on your phone, and you said, I want to take Melissa as my date to the inaugural ball. And he picked up your phone and called me with you standing there. And there's a beautiful photograph of you standing there and him holding your phone, speaking to me. And he said, and you said, no, I want to make sure that this happens, that it doesn't fall through the cracks. And he said, yes, yes, yes. And you said, no, it has to be confirmed by you. So he called me. I have no warning that the president's going to call me. And I received this, phone call. And I'm, of course, thinking it's you. And suddenly it's the new president of the United States who says, Melissa, I'm here with Tana. And we would like you to come to the inaugural ball. She has asked that, for her to take you as her date along with her husband and her family. And there's no words for someone like me who came from nothing, who had nothing, was fighting for her life. And you went so far beyond. Now, still no one knows that you are the face behind all of these amazing miracles and moments that are ending up on national television. And I don't know how to express, wait a minute, when they're saying, how brave you were, Melissa, to do this and that. And I'm thinking, bravery, wait a minute. There's a woman who did this who put her life, her livelihood, her reputation on the line to do this for me. And then had, I don't know if this is the right words, but the balls. I mean, you had the strength to say, no, Mr. President, you need to call her directly, because if I give her my word, it has to follow through.
Yes. And no, he knows.
You delivered in a way that was beyond what, what is the American dream? There is nothing greater than that. That is the perfect example of the American dream. And the fact that you did behind this, and no one ever knew it. You never took credit. You went on shows after that and never said, well, I was the one who gave Melissa the microphone that day. I was the one who put Melissa in my place on election night. I was the one who, took her to the inaugural ball with me. Instead, they were covering the story as it appeared, but not the behind the scenes. And you were that woman. You were nothing short of an angel to me. Nothing short.
Thank you. And there's so many beautiful things about our story, about your American dream. But I wanted you to know that you are worth it, and you were worth me risking it all, because at the end of the day, you're a human being who has, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a woman, you're beautiful, you are a gift of God. And I looked at it like, this is just a job. Yeah, it was a really cool job. And yes, I didn't want to ever get fired, but I looked at it like it was my calling. And every person that I'm going to have on this show is going to be called, and it's going to be a calling. And I felt instantly a calling to you that I was being tested. And you can either pass tests in life or fail them. And I don't ever want to ever be on my deathbed and go, man, I missed that chance. Melissa could have taken my ticket to the election night victory party, but I was too lazy to go out of my way and make 18 phone calls, because that's about what it took to get you there. 18 phone calls to make sure that Secret Service took my name off and put your name down and knew you weren't coming with a gun, or, there was a lot of steps. But any good dream maker is willing to go the distance for any good person. And there's a lot of great Americans walking the face of the earth that are worthy of this, but my paths haven't crossed with them. But my path crossed with yours that day, and I said, this is my test. And then all the other blessings that I was able to present to you were selfishly my way of dangling the carrot and saying, hang on and stay alive. Hang on and fight. This is obviously, I can't imagine how difficult your life is. But I looked at it like, if I could push her down the road of life 6 more months, she'll stay alive. And then that was the election night. And then if I could push her down the road another 8 months, that's a long ways because doctors weren't giving you long to live. And I could get her in a gown, and I can get airfare, and I can get hotels, and I can make her my date, then guess what? And, you know, so now I got to keep figuring out how I can keep you going because I know there's still more fight in you.
You breathed life back into me. And there's, like the doctor said, no medical explanation. The truth is, Tana, I would have passed away on that bed with the regret of not being able to publicly, meaning personally, thank that man. But what I didn't know is that there was even something more beautiful happening behind the scenes that no one else could see. I didn't know I was supposed to meet you. And so my time was not done. You were supposed to be there, and I was supposed to be there. And whatever we felt in that moment when you worked your way through the crowd over to me, just from eye contact alone, you know, I can also say that the night, what people don't realize either is they see the photographs of me standing with our new president and the first lady on election night. After they had that beautiful dance on stage, backstage there was no one else but the first family, Vice President Pence, his family, and Secret Service. No one else. We are standing in the crowd with everyone else. You and I, your family. I'm standing next to Tim Allen, who has all the money in the world, who has all of the fame. And the curtain opens, and there's Secret Service looking at you, and looking at me and waving out. That's it, saying this way. Tim Allen couldn't get past that curtain. Not one single soul in the room that night at the inaugural ball got past that curtain but you and I. And there we were behind the curtain, and we were with the new first family, and
so beautiful.
It was the most beautiful moment. And
that was so beautiful. And Melissa,
that's when I realized a moment that money can't buy. Really, that money can't buy. Because here I'm standing with, you know, next to Tim Allen or people who have all the money in the world. And the curtain opened, and they put a hand up. No one else. Just the two of you.
And you know what was so interesting? The behind the scenes that I don't know if I shared with you is, so President Trump said, get Tana and she can bring one person back. And this was before, like, I knew that I was going to be there before I knew you were coming to the inauguration, because I had to make sure you physically could get there. But so I knew I had a +1, and of course it was going to be you. But when I was standing with my family and my niece, I remember the curtain opened, and I had one. I had one pass.
Right.
I remember looking.
It could have been your husband.
I looked at my daughter, who she didn't have a lot of time with him, even though he knows her well. And my son did have a lot of time with him. And my husband, he would not have wanted to be the +1 just because he's very selfless. And then I looked at my other family members. There was 8 of them. And I said, no, like, it's Melissa. She's my ride or die. And this is what I committed to. I committed to taking you first class from the minute we met all the way to the end, all the way.
Beyond. That was more than I would have been happy, honestly, standing outside the building, listening to the music on the inside. But you took my hand so gently, and you
said, let's go.
Through that curtain, and the curtain closed behind us. And there we were, and there's the president saying, how are you feeling? And Melania saying, Melissa, how are you feeling? And they're loving on me.
They all knew you. They all knew you. They'd all fallen in love with you.
It was what
and you're the American dream come true.
It's beyond because, like I said, I grew up homeless, living in a tent for months on end, not as a little girl, going to kindergarten, washing up in public restrooms before school, not knowing what I was going to eat, when I was going to eat again. And then there I am standing at the inaugural ball, and the grandest, literally on the world stage with you, and you chose me, and you owed me nothing. You did it out of the kindness of your heart. I don't know anyone like you.
You're so sweet. And you have thanked me numerous times. But you thank me all the time. And I never did it for the thanks. Yeah. I did it because it was the right thing to do.
But I don't know anyone that would have done it. I really don't. And it wasn't owed to me in any way. I went there to just express some gratitude. I was so thankful that I had the opportunity to thank him. I thought, now I have peace. I can go to heaven. And it was a lesson for my son to show him that if it takes crawling out of a hospital bed, whatever it takes, that if someone does something for you, you make sure you show up and say thank you. But I needed you to do it. And I didn't even know that. I went there like literally with blinders on, just going, please, Lord, the whole way. Please, Lord, make a way for me to say thank you to him. And it was through you.
I was the way. I was the way. And I'm happy. What's that, honey? I'm sorry.
I think now you're the dearest person to me, and you kept your word. You didn't just keep your word, but you kept President Trump's word, which was,
I did.
We'll be watching you, and we'll be watching your boy, and you did it.
And I will continue to keep my word. And I just want you to know, and I want everybody watching this show to know, and I want your son Jack to know that I don't care where you come from. If you are homeless, or you were homeless, or you have nothing, you have hope in knowing that there are good people walking the face of the earth like me that want to help. So please don't ever give up on your dreams. That's the message that I want to share with the world, is you're never too old to give up on your dreams, and hang in there, because you don't know who's going to be the catalyst to making your dreams a reality, like I was able to do for you and your family. And for that, I'm so blessed. And I just want you to know that I love you. I have loved getting to know you. I have loved being able to walk beside you in this journey of making your American dreams come true, that we're not done yet. And when I see something else that I can do for you, you know I'm there. I know behind the scenes we've talked about something that I've offered to do for you that I hope I don't have to do for you. That's personal, and we know what that is. Since then, Melissa has asked me if I'll speak at her funeral. That's something we never wanted to deal with, or I never wanted to be asked, but she wanted to get her affairs in order, and I said, of course. So I'm going to have to follow through with that, and I promise you I will. And, you know, our journey is not done, but I just have so much strength, and I get so much strength, and I admire you so much, because it's not easy waking up and being you. And I can only imagine what your daily struggles are, that people complain about little things, Melissa, and you're fighting for your life every single day. And you're doing it with grace and dignity, that I'm just a small part of this. And I would never not use my blessings and my access and my power and my strength to ever make your dreams I would never not make them become a reality.
You are grace. You are everything that I hope that my son sees in this world, that there's good, you represent everything that is good in this world, beyond that, really. And
you're very sweet.
I know that I was touched by an angel that day, no matter what it did. If it, we don't know what the outcome really was, but at the time it was needed. I didn't know that it was needed because I wasn't following politically. I just knew that I needed to express my gratitude, and you were, when I got there, you were the only way to do that. And you gave me
I was the catalyst to making your dreams come true, and I was happy to do it, and I would do it all over again. And as I said, I've given you my word on other things, and I'll follow through on those. They won't be easy, but I'll do it because I told you I would. And I just want you to know that.
Say, when you say something, I would bet everything I own that you will do it, because you have never, ever, you've gone so far beyond when you say, I'll do this or I'll do that. And I mean, I don't even know how to receive it. At times, it's hard to receive. It's beyond what one could ever dream. More importantly, I have gained a dear friend, someone who I know will be there for me now. You will be there for me until my last breath. And I believe you.
Absolutely.
And that's true. And you will keep President Trump's promise. You will watch my boy like you have been doing every day since. I love you, and I thank you for, like I said, breathing life back into my body. Truly, the best gift. And
you're so welcome. I never want you to thank me, but just know that I was happy to be a small speck in the journey of Melissa Young's life. I am here for you, as I am here for any other American out there watching the show. So if you know someone similar to Melissa or has a similar story or not, it doesn't matter. If you know someone who I can help make their American dream a reality, please reach out to us at such and such and such and such. And I would love to meet him or her and make their dreams a reality too. Melissa, we cannot thank you enough for sharing your story with us. We think you are beautiful, not just on the outside, but also on the inside. And we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, Tana.